man was walking in the woods one day when he saw a bear out of the corner of his eye. He stopped, said a silent prayer. God, I know you can do all things. Will you please make this bear a fellow Christian? The bear caught up to the man, placed his paw on the man's shoulder, and said, Brother, will you pray with me? Dear God, for this meal that I am about to receive, make me truly thankful. This is The Christian Bear with Dr. Ben Holzman. Welcome to episode 45 of The Christian Bear. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Hilskamp. Today I'm happy to welcome one of my former students, Tyler Reynolds, to the podcast. A 2019 graduate of Iona University and a collegiate rower turned rowing coach, Tyler now lives in New York City, where he works as a government affairs consultant. He identifies as a gay polyamorous man and a Roman Catholic. Join me in welcoming Tyler to The Christian Bear. So Tyler, thank you again for joining us on this episode of The Christian Bear. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. So to get us started, with a healthy dose of sarcasm, I'm calling this the easy question. What do you believe?
So that's probably the easy question. So I am Catholic. Just to make it really easy for us, we have the cute little Nicene Creed. And everything we need is packaged into the cute little poem, and the whole faith is packed into a poem. It's real easy. So it's, one God, all the saints and apostles that gets thrown in there. Talks about nothing too difficult to understand. It doesn't even quote any Bible verses in there. It's just like, this is the core, this little poem, and that's it.
Okay. I definitely know from what I know about your background, if I'm not mistaken, you went to at least Catholic high school, and I know you went to a Catholic college because that's where we met. So, as someone who's Catholic, how much does your faith play into your life, or your belief system play into your life?
Oh, I haven't taken my cross off in a decade. I was attending church services weekly pretty much up until the start of the pandemic. Went to a Catholic middle school and a Catholic high school. I went to a Catholic college. We had the whole, family weekends to church type of thing, Mom and my siblings and grandma, grandpa, go to church on Saturday night, get out of there, family dinner after. It was part of our lives growing up.
Awesome. Thank you. Has any experience made you question your beliefs? And did your beliefs change? And if so, how?
I never had a question about faith. That's kind of the complicated part. The faith never wavered. My belief in the organization of the church has wavered, and I think that's a very different thing. The really big difference between faith in God and believing everything that the Pope said from the chair of Peter is God-given fact, and that every liturgical book that the church has released is religious fact. That part I have an issue with. But the actual faith in God I've never questioned.
Got it. I wonder if you could elaborate a little bit more on that distinction. I would say most of the folks who I've been interviewing for the Christian Bear, and probably a good portion of my audience, at least the ones who come from a Christian background, are coming from the more evangelical or fundamentalist side of the church, whereas you and I both come from the Roman Catholic side. So can you expand on that a little bit, and where you're drawing that distinction between the faith of the church and the more institutional church itself?
Yeah, so the Catholic Church, from the way we see it today, is essentially a 14 or 1500-year-old business, starting from their organization, a phase from the Council of Nicaea, which is where we get the Nicene Creed from. And they've had a very clear leadership and direction on how they wanted the faith to be believed and how they manage property and money. In Catholic churches, each church is not individually run, it is run as part of a greater organization. There's profit sharing among churches. Um, it is not each small parish for themselves.
Got it. Got it. Thank you for filling that in. I think it's helpful for some of our listeners. So, when looking at that more institutional side, um, and if it feels like I've already asked this question, feel free to tell me. Um, but what have you questioned on that side?
So I can give you. Let me phrase it this way. I work in government and politics. I do like government and community affairs type of stuff. And growing up, I had political mentors, two of which were very, very Catholic, very religious. Um, Frank and Tony, two Italian Catholics. One was the assembly member at the time, and the other one was the district leader at the time. Um, and when it came around to marriage equality in the 1990s, and they came out in support of marriage equality in the 90s, they actually got kicked out of their local churches. As straight political leaders in the 90s, they were asked not to come to church by church leadership. And those were my mentors, and marriage equality in New York State was not passed for another 25 years later. Um, and that was kind of where a lot of it started for me. It actually started from my political career of getting pushback from not just, the local priests, but the bishops and the cardinal even would give us pushback on positions we had because they knew who the Catholic politicians were.
Got it. Thank you. I want to ask a question that may be a little bit more personal, so feel free uh, to kind of pass on this. But I know that you have had some struggles around health in your life, and I wonder, where has faith played into those struggles?
Yeah, I have congenital heart disease. I have unique cardiovascular physiology. So about 3 years ago, I went under experimental open heart surgery. I think I was the third person in the country to have the type of open heart surgery and the first person to survive from it. So it was a big deal. Um, I never really. That actually wasn't really a religious thing for me. I was born with heart disease. And part of our yearly cardiovascular checkup, you get a yearly reminder of it's only a matter of time before you need heart surgery. This is a checkup to see how far away we are from needing it again. So I was always raised with the mindset of I'm going to need another heart surgery. We just didn't know when exactly. And essentially when I needed my surgery, it was time to pay the meter.
Got it. Thank you. You identify with the queer community, right?
Yes.
So being someone who clearly is Roman Catholic, is devout, where how have you reconciled those identities of being a queer person and being Roman Catholic? Some folks would say that those identities mesh well. Some would say that they don't mesh well at all. Where have you landed on that?
So I am very fortunate that my local parish and the schools I went to, in the eyes, in the grand scheme of religion, were very liberal. No one in the church was ever mean to me. No one in my schools were ever mean to me. So I'm very fortunate in that way. But I do have a lot of people who are friends of mine who have had really bad experiences, growing up in the church and feeling ostracized or feeling like they didn't belong or feeling forced to fit a role that wasn't for them. I'm fortunate enough where that wasn't the case for me. I have the opposite problem where before I grew up with like that 90s mentality of like I was gay and I had a relationship with God, but I wasn't telling people. It was my business, That was like a very common like 90s mentality. It's completely shifted now. Now everyone's out. Where it was actually a nun at my high school who was just like, you should just tell everyone. It's not a big deal. It doesn't change anything. And it was just always, still to this day, so shocking that it was a nun who was telling me I should be an out vocal gay man in the church. It still surprises me.
As you well know, you've got to love Catholic nuns.
Oh yes, they are the rock of that church.
Amen to that. So my last formal question is: if you had to boil your beliefs down into like one core fundamental belief, what would that belief be and why?
I mean, I think for me at least, it comes down to following the way Christ lived. It comes down to not judging people. It's about treating people with respect and love and accepting people for as they come and not who you want them to come as. And keeping in mind that I always have to check myself. No one's perfect. And no one is the perfect moral authority. And no one is going to find the perfect moral authority until we die. And just constantly reminding myself of that.
Thank you. So, Tyler, I love giving each person I interview some space at the end of our episodes to discuss or platform or promote anything that they're working on, any projects or anything that they feel is important. So the floor is yours.
Oh God, the floor is mine. No, I'm actually no longer working on legislation anymore, so I have nothing to really promote. Go out there, be nice to people, vote in people who are going to let you be who you're going to be. Make sure you vote. Not voting and complaining is worse than voting and complaining. So make sure you go and you support the people you want to support and are going to write laws that are going to support you.
Amen to that. Well, again, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us for the Christian Bear today. I really appreciate having you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I had a great time.
This has been the Christian Bear with Dr. Ben Hilsey.